G'day folks, it's Cortezerino and we are back on the Dystopia world. It has been so long. It's probably been over a month. I haven't done that in a long time. But it's not because I haven't been playing. In fact, I have done more between episodes than I have done for a long time. As you would know if you watched that medieval village transformation. That was done entirely in survival, just over that hill. You see, I did the big time-lapse for that Japanese castle base, and then people were asking for the tutorial, so I obliged and I started doing tutorials for that, and tutorials don't really take very long, and that gave me lots and lots of time to play over here. And yeah, I got about halfway through the village and I thought, no, we're not going to do a Dystopia episode. I'm going to get the entire thing done and we'll just show it to you in a great big time lapse. So that means this Dystopia episode isn't going to have any building in it, I don't think. It's going to be a bit of a show and tell because that village isn't the only thing I've done. I've done a few other little things, but this is going to be a tour video and we're going to have a look at our lovely little village. I started off doing this as a very creepy Brothers Grimm kind of village, but as I started adding all these pretty fields, it didn't look so creepy anymore. So now it's more like a fantasy medieval village. So we're just going to run around, do a tour, and we're actually going to start with two buildings that my regular viewers have seen before, but I figured we'll do this in the order that I built them in, and for the people who are just coming here because they want to have a look at the village, this will be all new to them. But I will rush through these first two houses. So this one kind of looks like a blacksmith because he's got the big furnacing there, but that's just because people in the country need to be self-sufficient, so he's making some of his own things. But inside here, this is just a lovely little house. We've got 3 stories to this one, and there is a tutorial for it on my channel. I'll link it below if you want to check it out. But let's quickly move on to the actual blacksmith. So this was the second house I built. It's super cool as well. I've been thinking of doing a tutorial for this one, but that tutorial would be a very long one, probably about 50 minutes long, but we've got a very kind of authentic looking blacksmith area here. We've got Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, sitting on the ground there, ready for him to pound away, and a crazy looking bellows on the side that he can activate with his chain. Little sign there that's a bit of metal sitting in his furnace, and yeah, just lots of little goodies, and he can come around the side here and pack away all his gear at night so no one's going to steal it. So he can come through that little fence gate. And he's got an area here to put all his tools away. And then inside it's pretty basic, just a little mum and pop building. But we've got 3 stories here. That's where you guys are hiding. I thought all my villagers had been killed, but no, they're stuck in here. So good on you guys. Well, that's the blacksmith and his wife. And we can come up here and we've got the top floor. So yeah, maybe a tutorial incoming for this if people want it. Okay, now it's time to get on to the new stuff. So in the time lapse, the next thing I started building was all these little fields here. And I was terrified because this village had mostly been depopulated. It's too close to my base, so the zombies come out at night and kill the villagers. But I did have a few trapped. And as soon as I started the time lapse, they all started breeding and I had villagers running everywhere. And I was just worried that if I planted wheat in these fields, they would just trample all the crops. So I came up with this idea instead. We've just got, well, around the edges, I've just got a lot of podzol and coarse dirt. And that's just grass, jungle leaves, and these blue flowers. And I didn't know what sort of crop I was trying to do here. Maybe lavender. But yeah, I just thought it looked super cool and I didn't have to worry about the villagers pounding away on them. And it's something different, you know, so yeah, I think it looks really good. So we've got 3 of these little fields. And then I had a building here and it was tall and narrow and I didn't really know what to do with it. So a windmill seemed like the best option. And it's kind of odd, I guess, to have a windmill in the middle of the village. But he is surrounded by little fields, so Kind of makes sense, and it's super duper simple. I've done the roof in the exact same style that all the houses around here were, with just the logs up the top. And there's not much room inside, but I've tried to do an approximation of the big grindstone here, pounding away at the, turning all the wheat into flour. And then you can come up to the second story, and we've just got a little winding staircase that goes pretty much all the way to nowhere. So this windmill is a super duper simple design. You can see it's just cobblestone and the stripped dark oak. But sometimes these simple designs look the best, I reckon, so I'm very happy with that windmill. It's pretty easy to go overboard with the detail and make something inadvertently look hideous, but nice and simple like that does look really cool. And next we can move on to the next house. So I just did a few fields here, and this is actually interesting. I hadn't thought of doing this before, adding potatoes and pumpkins in with the field. He's trying to trample my crops. I know what you're up to. But the field here already had some potatoes and pumpkins in it. So what I did is I just hid water sources underneath the pumpkins. And they're sitting on trapdoors, which are waterlogged. And then underneath I've got a sea lantern. And the light can actually escape. Probably in 1.13 they changed something so light could get through the tilled earth. So I thought just with shaders that would add a tiny bit more light. Don't trample my... oh my gosh. You guys, it would add a tiny bit more light, especially in shaders, so it would look nice. But anyway, he's thrown me off my game. He's wrecking the entire place. I'd wreck him, but they'd bounce up and down, wreck even more of the crops. So this is the next house I did, and this one there will be a tutorial for because I've actually already recorded it. I just thought it was a really nice, simple house that you could throw together really easily, and it would look super cool in a village. I'm pretty sure these villagers absolutely love their new village. There are beds everywhere and they are going to breed out of proportions. Unless I AFK at the base and the zombies kill them all, we will find out. But anyway, this is the top floor of that little house. We got a bed for mum and dad and a couple of beds for the kiddies. And if we run down to the bottom, nice and simple down here. Just a little kitchen, a wardrobe and a table. You know, this is really odd. This is the first time I've logged on to Minecraft in a couple of days, and in those 2 days I've been playing Valheim non-stop, and I keep forgetting the controls and pressing the wrong buttons. This is the first time in years that I've actually played another game other than Minecraft. It's really weird. But anyway, we continued on in the time-lapse with another little field here. Look at all my crops that have been trampled. Maybe I'll get rid of the villagers. And over here we got a little granary. So this house was up in the air already, so I just put him on stilts. We're hiding some firewood underneath. And the idea is you just get it off the ground, keeps the rats and all of that away from your food. And in here we've just got a little bit of storage. And the next house... super simple. It's the only tiny house I've got in the village. So we've got 4 big ones and this tiny one. I just wanted to change it around, like to transform it without without changing it too much. So you couldn't really see this in the time lapse, but here's the interior. Just a little chimney, table and chairs and a bed, and then out the back we've just got another little farm. And once again I've done something weird. I put down coarse dirt and a few little flowers. And next we've got the well, and this one I think does look super cool, and I actually based this one off someone else's design. I don't know who built it, but I just googled Minecraft wells and I saw one that had this big log sticking out the side, and I thought that's a cool idea, and I think that is where the similarities ended. So I got the idea from someone else and then just made my own design. And I was actually using this well constantly to get water sources for everything else I was building, but I made sure to put this little protection around the well so the villagers and me wouldn't fall down there into the water and never be able to escape. But yeah, I think that is a super duper cool looking well actually. And then if we come along here, we've got this crazy looking building, and This one sort of developed a bit as I was designing it, but in the beginning it was a diagonal house. So you can see it, you can't really see it actually, but it sort of comes out on the diagonal a bit there, and where it pokes out the other side, it is not in line with this side. So it's a very, very crazy looking shape, this one. I guess from this side you can get a bit more of an idea of how it is a diagonal house. But yeah, that was a crazy one to get everything to fit together. And if we come on the inside, we've just got a little table here in the entry. Over here's our dining and living area with the lovely fireplace. Like always, my fireplaces always line up with the chimneys in the roof. It would drive me nuts if they didn't. And then up here we've actually got a hallway. Not many of my houses have hallways. It's usually just opens up into a big room, but we've made a mum and dad's bed in this side, and we've got the kiddies' room over here. So yeah, they worked out quite nice on the interior, this one. And just over here, I think, was the hardest part to do of the entire village. If you remember in the time-lapse, I had 4 tiny little houses all right next to each other, so if you were to make them bigger and build them up, it would just look way too cramped when the rest of the village is spread out. But I think I got away with it really well. So 2 of the houses on this side here I turned into one big house, and then I just made little stables and stuff on this side. So we'll look at the big house first. So right here you can see where this roof is. This was one of the little houses, and I just built it straight up. And then over here was another little house, and I built it straight up in a big tower, and then I just worked on everything around it, joining them together. And originally I was going to make this an inn, but some of the design choices I made in here, it was so narrow, I didn't have room to put a big bar and seating. So I've just gone for a regular house. So we've got the chimney, of course, a little lounge area, a little kitchen area over here, and we've actually got 2 staircases. It's a really weird design. So this one leads up to a proper dining area and sort of living area. It's a pretty cool room. Nice and narrow though, so very hard to fit too much into it. And for the walls in this, I've gone for a mixture of sandstone and sand. I think it does look pretty cool. Over here is, here's the edge of that second house. So what I did is I kept this house completely intact, and then I just added a little bit to the edge and ran the staircase around that house. So very, very odd design. So we can go into the next level of where I built that house up, and then it's all ladders from here. So we've just got a little kid's bedroom, and then right up the top, just a tiny bit of storage. And then next we've got the stables. And this stables I actually stole from a tutorial I did a while ago. I'll link that as well. It was just a really simple design for stables, but it was one that was designed so you could convert it easily into something else. And that's exactly what I did. I put a hayloft right here. So here's the original house. You can see the hay poking up out there, and we've just adjoined the stables to it. So if you come on the inside, just a little floor here opening up into the main stable, so you can put your horses and all that in there. And then we can also come up the ladder into the lovely little hayloft. And it's super simple, but it does work really well. I think it looks really nice. And yeah, it just was perfect for a house conversion. So I've got a lot of this as well, a lot of these composters with the goodies inside scattered around. I've got to be very careful not to right click on them. Alright, it's getting dark again. That is the problem with running around in shaders, so I think I will have a quick nap and we'll continue the tour in a second. Oh yeah, we've got another little field out here. Big tree stump behind. That's just beetroot. And I've thrown in my wagon again. I've done the design slightly differently here. Usually I've got 2 spruce stairs on each side, but I've used the trapdoors and slabs, and that way I could put in a couple of barrels into our wagon. And yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. And a little detail I've done that I think looks really cool is all these custom spruce trees just hanging around the village. and you probably wouldn't even notice them and if I didn't point them out. Like there's another big one there, but they just make the place look so much nicer, and you don't need many, just 1 or 2 or 3 scattered around the place do look really cool. So I got another one right there. So they look much nicer than the ones all around them. And we've just got bunches of other little details. We've got lots of light hidden around because the fewer spawns we get, the better. Got a great big rock in the ground there. But yeah, finally, the last building here. I didn't want it too big because it's so crammed up with all these others. So I thought just a little barn here for putting extra hay, and that's all it is. And I've buried bits of hay in the ground, so it looks like it's just scattered along the ground there rather than a full bale. And then out here, where has all the hay come from? Well, it's come from this little paddock here. And yeah, I had this idea, and apparently a lot of people have had this idea. I did a tour on a friend's server. The video's not out yet, but my friend Crafting Mantis did the same sort of thing here, but I've got a few differences. I've got with the coarse dirt, I've got the brown concrete powder in the ground, and I've also hidden some lighting under brown carpet. And we've got the hay on the ground there to look like it's just scattered around. But yeah, this is another cool little way of doing a wheat field without just having wheat all over the place and little bits around the fences that they couldn't harvest, or they just were too lazy to harvest. And there's no path from the Austrian city over to this yet. I figured I could just go ahead and put in a path, but then it would be rather boring and nothing along it, so I will leave that to until a later date, and then maybe I'll have a better idea of something I want to put in between. Not sure yet, but yeah, that is it for the village, but that is not all that I've been doing. So when the world download does become available, or if you want to get one of my older world downloads, which you can get off my Discord server, you'll want to find my underground base, which is underneath this hill over here. I've got a secret entrance to it, but you might have trouble finding that. So just down in this gully, hang on, I'll land over here so we can see a bit better. So just over here in this little gully, right down the bottom, there is an obvious entrance to it there, and that can take you into the base. But I never use that one. I always use, boom, good landing, Cortez. I always use a tiny bit of snow just over here, because underneath we've got some scaffolding, and that takes us into the base. So over here I've got one little goodie that you haven't seen before. Gosh, this place is bright with the shaders on. Where would I keep it? I think it's up here with the spider webs. If I can reach the chest. There we go. A skeleton skull. And I've only got one, unfortunately. So, yeah, we had a few problems. It's a bit of a harrowing tale, actually. It was a dark and stormy night that I have been waiting literally a month for. I've been playing non-stop on my Dystopia world, waiting for a storm, and I finally got one. So a little while ago, I built a mobhead farm, and I rushed over there, and I started making myself some charged creepers with the channeling trident. And then the storm lasted a whole 3.5 minutes, and all I got was one skull. Anyway, this is where I've built this farm. So over there, that portal is the entrance to the ocean base, and that's my villager trading hall. And yeah, this one goes to the Trident farm, but I'm very much looking forward to updating this world. I'm still in 1.16, and I want to update so we can get the lightning rod, and that would just make things a whole lot easier, I think. So I can just AFK and wait for a storm. But anyway, we've got a little mob farm up the top there, which I can turn on and off. And during a storm, it's all dark, so the mobs spawn and they fall down here, and you can see they've fallen into some water. And I've got a lever here so I can turn the water off, hit those guys with the trident, quickly turn the water back on because there'll be fire everywhere and they'll burn to death. And then when they're in water, I can light them up with the flint and steel, hide behind this obsidian, and they'll explode, and any heads I get will go down into those chests. So it works beautifully, except for the fact that, the storms don't last very long. And I built this in the ocean, just above some coral. You can see it all the way down there. That's because I figured if something went wrong, like I lit the creeper and had forgotten to put the water back on, I just wanted everything to explode. That's why I built it all out of glass and not obsidian, because I figured last thing I want is to build it out of obsidian, have everything blow up, and then all the creepers are in here with me and blow up all my gear. I would much rather have a big explosion, fall down into the water there, and be able to collect all my... Well, not collect my gear, I wouldn't need to, I wouldn't be dead. But there'd be lots of light. I wouldn't have to worry about drowned shooting me with tridents. So it's a very different kind of episode today. It's very much a show and tell, but yeah, I have done a lot of work in here. And the final thing we're going to be looking at is in the Nether, and we'll see how we go with the shaders. I don't know how good it's going to look, but we'll head down to my piglin trading, my piglin bartering, which has been a mess for at least the past 4 world downloads, something like that, but I've finally cleaned it up. So we've got a lovely big purple room. So there's the big machine. The piglins are up in a little thing up there. Then they trade away and give me all the goodies, but this room is looking much, much nicer. And I wanted an AFK spot. I didn't want to be just sitting here and God knows what's going to come in here and attack me. So I've got a little hidden AFK spot here, and redstone doors are not really my thing. But I figured I would try and design my own for this one. So it's a little slow to open, but you can come in here and close it. And yeah, it's just a nice little spot where nothing's going to attack us, but it is very fast on the close. Boom, that looks good, and it's completely hidden, apart from the button. So yeah, that was something I was putting off for the longest time, but I think it turned out nicely. And you know what I always forget? I was AFKing here the other day. Whenever I AFK there, my Wither Skeleton Skull farm tends to get skeletons in it. Have we got any? Oh, we've got lots. A few of these are broken. You can see some have lots of skeletons and some have none. That's because the golems have died up the top. So I've got to get in there eventually and fix that. But yeah, this is the design if you've never seen it before. When they fall down, they go through some tripwires, and that shoots pumpkins onto their heads. Only about half of them take the pumpkins, but that means that they will not despawn. So I can come back at any time and just harvest away. Let's see how many skulls we get out of this. Just one, but that is certainly better than none. I've really got to stop playing other games. This is going crazy now. There we go again. I've completely forgotten the controls of Minecraft. But anyway, let's wander down a little bit lower in the base. Here's the crazy entrance that I showed you before down in the ravine. But we're going to go all the way down the bottom, and I haven't actually done anything down here in the bomb shelter. But I'm thinking this is what I'm going to be doing next. I cleared out this huge area last time. And, well, not last time, I did this ages ago, and I haven't done anything with it yet. And I think this is where we're going next, because I am pretty much, I'm not making any big plans in the world until I get the next update, 1.17, which I'm not doing just yet, but we're not far away. So I think, yeah, the bomb shelter for next episode. We'll do a bit of work down here. And then hopefully by then we will have a bunch of new blocks and we can go exploring and come up with some new ideas for our world. And why not finish the episode in one of our lesser visited little rooms? This is the underground dojo, where I've got my old design for the samurai swords in the stands. This is before you could put chains sideways, so I was just using all end rods. And you know what, I'm not going to come in and change this. Like, in my castle as well, I've got a lot of chandeliers hanging from iron bars rather than chains. I'm not going to go through and fix them up with the new blocks because that's nostalgia. This reminds me of the materials we used to have, and it reminds me of how long I've had this world as well, so all those old designs will stay. So thanks for watching, guys. I know it's a really crazy Dystopia episode, just me running around yapping my head off, but a lot of people do like to see the tours of my time-lapse builds once I do them, so yeah, I thought a tour was in order. So thanks for watching. Until next time, guys, I'm Cortezerino, and I will see you later.